2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence. The sun is out from the High Falls Studios in downtown Rochester. My name is Gene Battaglia. Thanks for joining us here today. Many ways you can reach us. 585-866-4326. That is a Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. You can listen on the FM, 95.7 FM, AM 950. We are always streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. And, of course, we're on YouTube and Twitch. My bad yesterday. I forgot to check the YouTube comment section. I'll be better at that. So if you're watching yesterday, my apologies to Ken, Rob, everybody else that was leaving comments. We'll make sure we're checking that throughout the day here too. If you'd like to leave a comment, if you're watching online, welcome. And we got a great show for you today. By the way, also, if you want to interact, WGR Rochester, our handle on X. Just one guest today, PJ Glasser. Which do I leave this for when he comes on, or do I spoil it now, Tim?
Why not both?
All right. I can't keep a secret. For somebody that I've been accused of being like a gossiper, I spread rumors. I do all this. I can tell you is absolutely true. That PJ's brother goes to Ithaca, and Nathan, and he landed an internship with the Red Wings. And we've invited Nathan into the studio, but you know what? He's working over the Red Wings, so he's got a job. PJ's coming into Rochester to visit his brother at the end of the month.
Awesome.
So we have it set up for PJ to be hanging out with us here in studio on Friday, July 31st, which will be outstanding to get PJ Glasser. PJ Glasser will join us later today, 2:25, because, hey, we're still going to be watching the World Cup, right? I know a lot of people won't, but if you're listening to this show, I'm going to guess that you might kind of float in and out. There are some matchups that are certainly, I think they're all interesting to some degree. Like, I mean, for Argentina, now they get Switzerland? It seems, well, we'll ask PJ, how do you bet this? Like, what are the plays? Is it actually smarter to bet the draw? I guess, because if you get to end of regulation, that's considered a draw. We'll talk to PJ about this coming up at 2:25, which means that we've got all the rest of the show for you at 585-866-4326. That is our number. We've also got Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day. That's on the way. Something that we touched on yesterday, and Tim, we only spot trends here in the sports bar. Like, we were ahead of the curve on this one, where For me, I pay attention to things like Nielsen ratings, and because that's my job. And Nielsen, they handle the radio ratings. They also handle the TV ratings. And this was just a story from my personal experience that I relayed yesterday. My personal experience was this, that when you travel, sometimes it's a little more difficult if you're doing like the Airbnb route or something like that, a cottage, that when it comes to streaming, it used to be, okay, turn on the cable box and let the owner pay for cable. But then, hey, you're out of the area. You can't be watching this. Hey, the Wi-Fi went down. How do you log in? There's all these issues, right? Well, long story short, we're getting ready to watch the U.S. and Bosnia-Herzegovina last Wednesday. And sure enough, the place we're staying at, they say, hey, here's our YouTube. You can log in. Well, because the Wi-Fi went down and went back up, couldn't log into their YouTube account, which meant, okay, what do we do here? And the executive producer's like, you know what? Pulls up her Peacock. Let's do it this way. Okay, well, Peacock, NBC, it's NBC. They're not picking up Fox. Like, you could imagine NBC and Fox, different sides of the spectrum in more than ways than one, right? So... So, like, okay, I can't see Fox, but then, wait, there's the game. It's Telemundo. All right, you know what? We just put it on Telemundo. We just want to see the action, and we had a blast watching that game, watching the United States win. And listening to the great Andres Cantor, and I had forgotten how good he is. He is an institution. Like what Don Stevens was to us, is to us here in Rochester. Andres Cantor to the soccer world, yelling goal. And you heard, guys on Sabres Live mention it. But, yeah, that makes it exciting, too. He knows how to call a game. Like, you can go about your business. You don't need to know Espanol to know, hey, something's happening here. Pay attention. Because in the world we live in today, how many things might you miss because you're looking at your phone? Well, for some reason, that cut through. And it was great. And we kind of made a decision as a family. You know what? We're just going to watch them Telemundo here on out. And I was like, I'm curious to see how many other people are doing this. And we pointed to the story yesterday on the show that 20% of the Telemundo audience doesn't know Spanish. So I'm one of 5 viewers that is watching this that would never tune in. But honestly, that was out of necessity. But you know what? I'm sticking with it. No offense, Fox. Also, Telemundo, they don't go to commercial break during the hydration breaks, which, again, we spot trends. We're like, day one, Tim, we're like, no, not hydration. It's a commercial break.
Right.
Yeah, stop with the euphemism.
So what do they do? Is it like a hockey overtime kind of thing where they scrape the ice and the actual broadcast stays broadcasting?
Stays broadcast, yeah, and they just show fans of the crowd singing, dancing. Whatever.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Yeah,
good soccer production.
Yeah, that's what you want. Now, some probably Telemundo executive will be like, we should. Well, we were talking about this yesterday, and I made the suggestion that hey, Saturday night, which now not going to be the United States. Actually, that wasn't going to be the U.S. That would have been Friday. I forget who's going to be playing Saturday night, but.
It's a pair of games on Saturday. It's the
late game. What's the late game on Saturday?
Late game is Argentina, Switzerland.
Okay, so
9 o'clock.
That's right. We were talking about this yesterday because the winners of the 2 games from yesterday were to meet up Saturday night. That's the next game. Cantor is not calling every game here, by the way. So Andres Cantor will be on Telemundo on Saturday night, and I'm just making the suggestion to check it out. That I thought it's kind of giving you that different. Right? So, all right, like, I noticed this, like, all right, and the ratings for Telemundo way up. And that's not a surprise, right? Last World Cup was in the Middle East, right? In the middle of November, December, when we're not exactly thinking about soccer, and here you have it on our continent, right in a time where everybody wants to watch. So, it's for reasons, the ratings have doubled.
Soccer's true TV.
It's interesting to me that we brought this up yesterday, and now there's a report today from CNBC, which we just laid out. Why would CNBC be getting this story? Well, because they're the ones not carrying Fox. They're carrying Telemundo on Peacock. That right now there is tension between Fox and Telemundo. Because of this, that Fox is angry that they're losing some of their audience, to which I would say, okay, that's business. Too bad on that. But as a result of this, and this is the report there, that apparently some of the rights are up in 2030, 2034, and that FIFA is going to want to bundle them together. So, in other words, where here in the United States, hey, it's Fox, and Telemundo is not owned by Fox, you're going to have just one entity in the U.S. with the English and the Spanish-speaking rights, which what would be a worse look? Would it be Fox losing the World Cup, or would it be Telemundo losing the World Cup? And this is where I don't want to get out over my skis. I would think that Telemundo will do everything in their power to keep the World Cup. And actually, I would think that as big as Fox is, I would think that Telemundo would have that same sort of money, knowing that the reach they have. So I'm going to be fascinated to see how that sort of kind of works out. I'm also fascinated kind of grabbing my popcorn here because, and I think this is a byproduct of this is the time of year we're in, right? The way the sports news cycle, the way life is, right? We're always on to the next thing. We're done. Boom, move on. Well, there hasn't been that here's the next thing. Now, here in the sports bar, the next thing yesterday was another great World Cup game. My goodness, here's Argentina and Egypt, and Egypt blows this big lead, controversial plays. We'll get to that. We talked about it a lot yesterday. But that didn't kind of knock off the main story being, boy, what happened in the United States? And it seems like, to me, Christian Pulisic is taking an inordinate amount of heat. Does he deserve criticism? Yes, absolutely. People zeroing in on his comment needing rest, looking forward to rest. Okay, Carly Lloyd making her opinion known on that. We would have been on to the next thing had there been a big NFL story, or had LeBron James announced last night he was going to be fill in the blank here. By the way, Tim, do you know what today is?
It is the anniversary of the announcement.
That's it. I remember this because it's also my daughter's birthday. Happy birthday, Allie. 23 now. I'm that old. She's that old. But I remember, taking her out to, where did she want to go to? She wanted to go to Red Robin because of the balloon and the character there or whatever. So we go to Red Robin, and I remember that being the day where you had Jim Gray sitting down with LeBron and, one of the worst decisions ever. Not him leaving Cleveland, going to Miami, but just kind of the way he did it. It's like, whoa, get over yourself. To LeBron's credit, he made everything right in the end, certainly.
Got the trophy out of it too. There was the summer between my junior and senior year of college, and when I tell you I did not take that announcement well, I did not take that announcement well.
You saw that coming though.
No, right. I didn't.
No.
Not in the way I think he learned this same thing. Why would you expose yourself as that kind of villain in your own hometown? That's where you grew up.
That's where I think Jim Gray should get the lion's share of the blame on that. Jim Gray was the opportunist who cobbled together this idea of, let's put the Boys and Girls Club. I should double check on the charity, but there was a charity involved in that, and we're going to put LeBron in the inside this charity and draw a lot of charity. When really, this brainchild for the decision by Jim Gray, pay-per-view sort of event, it hasn't been done since for good reason. Because had he said, "Hey, I'm here today, and I love Cleveland," and when he did that, Tim, I guess when they announced that he was going to be on TV, they were like, all right, well, I guess he's going back to Cleveland like a lot of people might have thought. And then when he said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, you're like, wow. And you have the owner of Cleveland. Anyways, we're getting off track.
As we do.
We always do this in the sports bar. How do we get on LeBron? Got on LeBron because today is July 8th, and we don't have a story about LeBron. Nothing has taken away from the spotlight of the failure. And we could say that, the failure of the United States men's national team for not making it to the quarterfinals. Christian Pulisic deserves some of the blame. The head coach deserves the majority of the blame. If Pulisic wasn't right, then get him out of there. But the whole team just did not look ready. And I am not the soccer expert that can tell you, break it down for you like I could a Bills game or a Sabres game or an RIT hockey game or whatever. But what I can tell you is I can draw analogies to other sports. Like the early going of that game, in hockey they call it a breakout. In lacrosse they call it a clear. United States couldn't get it out of their own end. The passes were off. And when it was tied by Tillman on the penalty shot, you're like, okay, phew, 1-1, we're good, we're safe, everything's going to be fine. Maybe, 2 minutes later, bam. And I'm like, okay, at that point, I'm like, no, this is not going to happen.
And that was 2 life minutes later. That game minutes felt like 40 seconds because there was a celebration of the goal.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom.
Bam. It's
all the momentum sucked right out of you.
And there's a few things on this. One, we don't acknowledge this. And I think we should, right? That the world is a big place. It's a big bleeping place. We have our sports here that we absolutely love, the NFL and all of our leagues, and we, for fun, export some games. We Did we talk about when the NFL will actually set up shop in Europe for real, like with a team, rather than exporting games? So, yeah, it comes from our perspective. We're just one of many, 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 many countries. And now the discourse, and this is what I find really interesting, is that, okay, we're done assessing blame. Like when the Bills lose on a Sunday, we come in Monday, and here in the sports bar, we call it Blame Assessment Monday. Who gets the blame? Is it the coach? Is it the quarterback? Is it the defense? How do you fix it? And honestly, it's kind of the template for every Bills fan, if you think about it, or your favorite team, is that when your team loses, you know the reason, you can kind of diagnose it. We kind of did that with the men's soccer team. Coach didn't have them ready. Should Pulisic have been playing? Lot of things. But once you get beyond that, now here comes the once every 4 years sort of take. That, hey, if we had LeBron and Christian McCaffrey and all of our best athletes playing, we would dominate. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. Just because the infrastructure isn't set up like that. You cannot tell me that if these athletes, when they were in high school, chose to play soccer, that all of a sudden, voila, you're talking like decades. We don't have the infrastructure at the youth level. What I also find fascinating, Tim, is that somehow this has veered into a here's what's wrong with youth sports in America conversation, which, hey, that applies to many teams and many sports, and it applies to anybody that might be listening to our show because, number one, chances are you played youth sports. Maybe you played high school. Maybe you were blessed enough to play beyond that. Or maybe you did both. Now you're a parent, and you see it from a different side. And as a parent, you understand that today in 2026 is not how it was like when you were growing up. Not by any stretch. My son played hockey, and it's not good enough to play on the house team. The house team is just kind of looked upon down, like you don't have enough money or not good enough or what. Like, unless it's a status thing, unless you have the label of travel attached to you, then you are not doing enough. You are not providing enough for your child. You need to do everything to give your child the opportunity. And playing in house, how can they have good competition when they're playing non-travel ball or hockey or whatever it is? It's a racket. It is a damn racket.
And there's also like something to be said about these kids are 8 years old just having fun with their friends. It doesn't need to be some college or whatever next level grooming area to get these kids to the next spot.
You know what's interesting, Tim, is that I've talked to college coaches and they don't deal with the parents,
right?
Because they don't have to, right? It's like at that point you're not good enough. I don't need to take your call. I just don't. But and you know this, I cover high school sports. I'm lucky enough to kind of do some things around town. I've never seen it this bad. And this is the culture that is come upon it. If you are a parent that, again, hey, house isn't good enough. You need to travel. Well, if you're putting all this time and investment, and then the high school coach is just doing his job, or the official who's not getting paid enough is just doing his or her job, that does not give you the right to yell from the stands. It just does not. And some of the behavior recently, it's piggish. And it's not a Section 5 thing. It's a problem everywhere.
It's a national thing.
It is a national
Might be global.
thing.
I don't know. I can't speak on the rest of it, but it's certainly in the U.S.
It is a national thing. And so when you relate this to soccer, this is where it gets a little wonky, and this is where I don't want to get over my skis because I've read a lot of good takes here that in other countries, when you have top youth players, and I'm talking like 12, 13, 14, they go into a club program, all right, well, then the club program who takes the kid actually pays the program directly that they took the kid from. And therefore, there's this structure that, all right, it's not you're only it's not based on, the AA travel team is not based on, okay, sure, it's talented, but who's going to pay for it?
Right.
It's actually based on here's who's kind of rising through the ranks. So I can't speak to exactly why this is in the United States where it isn't, in other countries. But I find it fascinating here, and what admittedly is kind of a downtime. We're all looking forward to Bills training camp, and I've got some Bills news today. I do. We're all looking forward to to baseball next week with the home run derby. But it's a time right now where, hey, we're dictated pretty much by the NFL calendar, and in terms of like big NFL stories. Well, I'm sure we're going to have some uniform releases now. In fact, I know we will. But it's the time where it's like we just kind of take a look at this and like, oh, wait, this is kind of this whole system is kind of a problem right now. And it's set up right now where you have to buy the top equipment. You have to buy the ice time. I'm just mentioning from hockey perspective. You have to do all these things. And then when it doesn't come to wherever, how many parents actually think their kid's going to get a scholarship at the end of the rainbow here? Stop.
More than reality.
Yeah, more than reality. It's kind of terrible. And somehow, like, that's what the problem is with the United States team. And I would say, go back to my original thing. No, sure, it's all part. Yes, I'm not going to say that's not the problem here. Why the United States team isn't succeeding. It's just the fact that we don't acknowledge the world is a big place, and that there are countries that do this very, very well in this sport. And look, if you're one win away from the quarterfinals, it's not embarrassing. Oh, by the way, like, can we admit that we do women's soccer better than anybody else? Like, okay, last time was an embarrassment. Spain won, and the United States kind of fell flat. The United States, if you forgot, women's, they won the two previous. And I think they showed up in New Zealand thinking, okay, here we go, time for a third, and they got rolled. So the world might be catching up in that regard. And the United States will be participating in the games in Brazil next summer. And I'm telling you, we're going to talk about those games as much as we're talking about the men. Because if I had to say what two sports do I say in our country are on, how do I want to phrase this? Because I can't say TV ratings. Tennis is one. I think you're watching whatever. I don't think gender has anything to do with tennis in terms of the quality of play. I think they're equal. And I do think that, when it comes to soccer in our country, I would think there would be as much interest in the United States women as there are the United States men. I've got some Yankee thoughts here, too. What kind of a disaster this. Bills thoughts. We got Tim's terrible take of the day. And we have P.J. Glasser, our betting expert. By the way, you hear quite often now, he's getting more reps on BetMGM tonight, which just kind of driving it around. You know what's funny, Tim? I just pick out that voice in like 2 seconds.
Same.
Yeah, so
I'm driving around, getting to my next place, and it's like, I know that guy kind of.
I know that guy. It's PJ giving us some plays. He'll give us some plays, some winners here. He's actually got a play in baseball that he's very excited to share with us. My name is Gene Battaglia. Tim Schneider, Dan DeLorean off this week. This is Sports Bar on WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
World Cup action resuming tomorrow. France and Morocco next up, 4 o'clock Eastern. Baseball tonight in central Massachusetts for the Rochester Red Wings. 6-6 during the second half of the season. Tuesday's game at Worcester, that was rained out. They're going to make this up as part of a doubleheader today. Game 1 going off in the 4 o'clock hour. In the majors tonight, all games but one under the lights. Coming up at 3:45 in San Francisco. Toronto taking on the Giants. Yankees tonight at Tampa Bay once again. The Mets hosting the Royals. The Boston Red Sox taking on the White Sox in Chicago. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today, get 2 rounds for 1 to Eagle Vale. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com today. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
So if you're watching on YouTube, you just saw, like, Tim flag me. Like, what? Well, wait a second. Something just came across to me. What do we got?
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
As of 5 seconds ago, the Amerks have announced their home opener. They'll play the defending Calder Cup champions, the freshly crowned Toronto Marlies. This will be Friday, October 2nd at the Blue Cross Arena.
Okay, so we knew the date was going to be early, right? Because this is the way the NHL is set up now, that it's like you're going to have, and the NHL schedule comes out next week on Thursday, the whole thing.
AHL tomorrow as well.
The AHL tomorrow. So this is just kind of the teaser here. It's crazy to think that the Amerks, who got an unbelievable performance from Devin Levi in that Game 3, that it came down to right at the end, a shot that just goes wide, and then empty netter, bam, and Toronto wins in 3. It's crazy to think that they say baseball is the game of inches. If that goes in, the Amerks get the tying goal, and then what happens? I don't know. Like, I know that the Amerks prevail in overtime. The Marlies don't win the Calder Cup. What does that mean for Devin Levi? I feel like I'm alone on Levi Island here. I feel like, and maybe it's just because the Sabres are out of options, and maybe they're only going to keep the 2 goalies this year. But Devin Levi in Edmonton, I'm going to be paying attention to. Devin Levi down the stretch. There was a game in Hershey where they needed the point. They got the point. Levi was just a one-man show in that first period. That's a good opener, Tim. I like that. Having it. Look, you usually get Syracuse. You're to get, give me the Marlies.
Set the tone early.
Yeah, set the tone early.
And give us hope for the season, or let us know. I mean, it's hockey. Things can go awry or off the rails real quick. But if they come out and beat the defending champion after having their season ended by this same team, it's a nice way to get back on the tracks here and figure it out.
Yeah, it's the thing I don't like, and there's nothing you can do about it. I just don't like the early October 2nd start. Like you hope.
Yeah, this is a week or two earlier than typical.
It is. That's because the NHL has to step things up in that regard. So it's going to be a longer season for the Amerks because the NHL season is going to be a week longer. But we're going to get this whole schedule tomorrow. Maybe while we're on the air. I'm not sure when that'll pop tomorrow.
301 probably.
Yeah, probably. That's always the way it works. I'm not one that is going to be like, ooh, what am I going to be paying attention to? 1, okay, long road trips. 2, okay, key dates. Because if you go to an Amerks game, you want to see, all right, do you get dates Sundays after football? What about the Wednesday before Thanksgiving or Black Friday?
That's permanent. The Wednesday before Thanksgiving is a guarantee.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a guarantee because they announced some of the dates, and I don't think that was one. I think they announced Black Friday. I don't know what that means for the Wednesday. Also, too, all right, other things, too, like there's a lot of things you could look at in terms of, like, do you get a holiday, for instance? Like, are they going to give us Martin Luther King Day? I've always kind of advocated for the Amerks to kind of do something like that. So the Amerks schedule coming out tomorrow. Toronto will be the home opener. Thank you for pointing that out, Tim. 585-866-4326. You can write to us at WGR Rochester. You can leave us a comment, as Chris Kurtz did. Buddy, thanks. He says, what up, Gene? Say what up back at you, Chris. You can watch us on YouTube and Twitch if that's your thing while you're in the office or home, wherever you're watching, or 1 to 3 Eastern if you want to participate at 585-866-4326. That's the time of day. We're on here locally in Rochester. A lot of people listening on the Odyssey app on the Rewind feature, which, that's great. That's why we have it up for you. Dandalorian off this week, so maybe like some of the interviews, we'll get back at it next week in that regard. The Yankees right now, a week ago, right before the 4th, we just kind of shoving this off, but there's an indicator right now that this is a problem for the Yankees. Now, before I get to what the problem is for the Yankees, let me just draw an analogy here. The American League in 2026 is like the AFC in football in 2025, meaning, does anybody want this? Who wants this? The fact that you had Denver and New England as your representatives, and look, I guess credit to Denver and New England for figuring it out, but there was never a team that, oh my gosh, this team is really, really good. How are we going to beat them? That's why, one of the reasons you saw tears in that Bills locker room, I thought. They knew that was their opportunity, and it just went by the wayside. We could theorize that maybe they knew that Sean McDermott, as a result of that loss, it was going to cost him his job. Many, many things you could talk about, but you never saw that sort of emotion. I mean, this was the year where the decks were cleared, and you could just walk right through, and the Bills didn't do that. Well, you can say kind of the sort of the same thing. And again, it's July 8th. NFL season is not like baseball, where you could lose lots of games. You can go on losing streaks, and you can pick your chin up and get back at it. But right now, you look at the standings here. There's only one team that is above two games above 500 that's in first place in the American League. It's Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay at 50-36. The Yankees have the second best record in the American League, 50-41. And you could say, well, what's the problem with the Yankees? Well, I'll get back to that in a second. I look at everything else, though. Like, you want to say, what, like, who wants this? Who had the White Sox in first place July 8th? Seattle's in first place. That shouldn't be a surprise, but they're only 2 games above 500, and they have not played their best ball. You look at the wild cards right now in the American League. Okay, so you have the Yankees. Cleveland gets the second wild card. They're 2 games above 500. Texas, they're hanging on to the third wild card, 1 game above 500. Everyone else in the American League right now, 2 games or more below 500. And teams that we thought would be competitive, Toronto, Boston, Houston. The heck happened to Detroit? All these teams. I thought Kansas City. Hey, Binkley. Look at what happened to the Royals? I thought. Actually, I shouldn't be saying that. Talking smack if he's listening right now. To give up 16 runs to the Royals, to have like the most little league of little league home runs. Sometimes a little league home run is an error and it goes by the outfielder. Oh, it's a little league home run. No, a little league home run is when you have not 1, not 2, but 3 errors all on the same play and you round the bases. That was a joke last night. The Mets end up scoring 9 runs in an inning. If I told you a little league home run, scoring 9 runs in the inning, 12 runs overall, and the Mets would still lose the game, welcome to the 2026 version of the New York Mets.
The thing that you bring up, the biggest thing that you bring up outside of the Little League World Series or the Little League home runs, every base potentially, and they didn't make a single concerted effort on that play. That was nuts.
No, it's terrible.
But if you look at the American League, you just mentioned those teams, the crummy teams, the Tigers, the Blue Jays, the Red Sox. Chances are one of those 2-3 teams takes a run and sneaks in as this third spot because the division's not there or the whole league isn't there.
All right, and say who is that most likely team? It's the Jays. I think it's the Jays because the Jays, They'll get their pitching in order. Vladdy's had a terrible first half. You really think he's going to do that in the second half? The Jays are going to be right there. And every team in the American League, Baltimore, you're only 4.5 out because everything is just muddled right now. But the point of this take was about the Yankees. And the Yankees, Yankee fan, you know where I'm going with this. I had no idea until I read it this morning. The Yankees actually set a Major League record last night. So the Yankees striking out 17 times in a game. Ooh, that's bad. First time in American League history that a team has struck out back-to-back games 17 times. You would have thought that in all the years of the American League, dating back to 2 centuries ago, that would have been accomplished. Nope. This is a team that traditionally just does not put the ball in play. It's either swing for the fences or, all right, we're going to kind of go down. They don't play small ball. And it's all fine when you got Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. Right now, you don't have Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. Like, when Judge comes back, maybe things will right. But this is the indicator, Tim, that I was mentioning that I think is like, oh, boy. So the Yankees, after last night's performance, in terms of batting, not talking pitching, in terms of the batters, right now their strikeout rate is 3rd worst in the American League. So you would think back-to-back 17 strikeout games. I don't know who's number 1 and number 2. But no team in the bottom 5 in strikeout rate in any league has ever reached the World Series.
I'm surprised by that because a lot of teams that go big or go home usually end up going big. You can strike out and succeed, but I'm surprised that no team has ever gone on and succeeded to that extent.
To that extent. So, again, it's 3rd. They could make, okay, we only finished 6th. And again, you get Aaron Judge back, and your pitching can round into form. And, hey, the Yankees are a playoff team anyways for just the reasons I rattled off. They have the 2nd best record in the American League right now. And it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. Every Yankee fan I talk to is like, and I'm like, look at the standings. You are in the AFC. You don't be like the Buffalo Bills. This is your opportunity. It's not pretty. Okay, it doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to be the dominant team from the 90s that just carved everybody up and waltzed right into the World Series. This is going to be ugly. And people will say you're not worthy. Just understand that when the Dodgers reach the World Series, and they will reach the World Series, like whoever they play, we will say heavy, heavy favorite, heavy, heavy favorite. And baseball's a funny game. Sometimes it doesn't go. So try to take it from that approach. And I'd ask you the question, who's good in the American League? And I'm going to tell you the answer that some may disagree with. My answer to this, no one. But Gene, look at Tampa Bay. Stop. Yes, McClanahan is on the mound tonight. He's really, really good. The rest of that pitching staff for Tampa Bay, I'm sorry. Nick Martinez doesn't all of a sudden go from Ford to San Diego to Cincinnati and all of a sudden becomes this guy that's mowing down people. Granted, I'm appreciative that the Rays figured out a way to pick up all these pieces off the scrap heap and make it work, and they have a team that puts the ball in play. And ultimately, maybe that will win them some postseason games. But they're no juggernaut. They're just I don't even want to say the best. Like, out of this motley crew of teams in the American League,
they have the best record.
That's it.
Like, you can put them in a 162-game schedule. They're going to win a bunch of games. But come October, does that style of baseball get you to where you want to be? And you can argue that outside of the Dodgers, is there any actually good team in baseball? There's teams with great records, and there's teams that are overperforming. But look at it.
I'm going to give you a team in the National League. It's not Atlanta, and it pains me to say this. Mm-hmm. But watch where Scooble goes, right? And I do think he's going to get traded. I think Philadelphia is good. I think Philadelphia is a team that can put this together. Remember how down and out they were.
Yeah.
Now they're 10 games above 500. And in terms of that, in Atlanta, by the way, if you haven't noticed, they're kind of falling. Philly's only 2 games out. Miami's only 3 games out. Miami's fun and young. I mean, I give them that credit. Milwaukee's doing what Milwaukee does. I'm like, all right, well, maybe, like, it doesn't feel like, it feels like to me, maybe ultimately, Tim, you're right, it'll be the Dodgers and it'll be Milwaukee and Dodgers will sweep them. But I wouldn't look past Philadelphia and how they're coming around here.
But are they actually good, or are they just hot right now? There's still 70 games to go. You got to stay hot if you're actually going to compete with the Dodgers, who are going to win 110 games.
Again, Wheeler and Skubal and Sanchez got lit up last time, right? But he's been one of the best. He's been one of the best. We have Tim's terrible take, which I don't have any idea what direction he's going with. I do have some Bills news and notes to get to here. Hey, we are only 3 weeks away
to the day.
Yeah, July 29th. Your calls are welcome to it. 585-866-4326. You can hit us up on X, our handle at WGR Rochester. You can hit us up on YouTube and Twitch. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is the Sports Bar.
No chaser. You're in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
You know, we hit the breaking news sounder for the Emirates home opener. I think this qualifies as breaking news, Tim. Something else just came across from baseball.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
At the end of the season, Justin Verlander will retire. He's 43. It's not a surprise. And for Justin Verlander, hey, if you go back like a month, here in the sports bar, beginning of June, we were, wait a second, Justin Verlander, he's rehabbing now with Toledo, and could this time out where he could actually be with the Mud Hens when they come into Rochester? The answer is no. He went up, but he hasn't been good. He's 0-1 with a 12.127 ERA. Now, maybe he's still trying to round himself into form, but it kind of looks over for him. And I think it's good that he's making this announcement now. For one, like what they did last year at the All-Star game, and it's an exhibition. Let the fans, let Justin Verlander have a moment at the All-Star game next week. That's what I would hope. Do I need to see some middle reliever that has great numbers? But no, let the fans applaud. Let baseball give the moment. You did this for Clayton Kershaw. You should do this for Justin Verlander. I'm wondering if that's why they're doing this.
Well, let me tell you, because 2 hours ago, that's what happened, and he was the exempt pick. He's hurt, so he won't play.
Okay.
But he was named an All-Star for the 10th time, and then I think because of that, he decided maybe it was in cohesion with them as like a, hey, I'm out of here. Do this for me. I do this for you, and then we're all out of here.
Yeah. I don't. And if like the Tigers are gonna I don't think it makes any trade him now for what? He can't pitch. He hasn't been good.
No, this is just his last hurrah. He'll get his moment in Philadelphia with the All-Star team, but because he's on the injured list, he will not participate.
I'd also say this too. We in our lifetime, Tim, will never see another 300-game winner.
I was going to say that as well.
Yep.
And it's almost certain now with it. Like, he would have had to pitch until he was probably 50 to even have an opportunity.
266. So, like last year, say if he had like a renaissance year with the Giants last year, say if he won 15 games last year. All right, so if you tack on that and you went to 271, and if we're healthy this year, maybe you're thinking, okay, he pitched to 45, 46, but for what? For some magical number? The guy's a Hall of Famer.
And that magic number is now changed.
Well, the funny thing is, you would think Scherzer would have more. He doesn't. He's only got 222. The next guy on the list, you know the next guy?
I do not, but I know that DeGrom's at 103 or something.
DeGrom, this sounds like a Joe DiBiase sort of game. Tim Snyder, give me the next. If I said, okay, give me the top 8, I guarantee you wouldn't get it.
Aroldis Chapman is on there.
He is not.
Okay, then.
No. And in terms of wins, no. Where is DeGrom is 16th, by the way, with 103 wins. Just I'll give you 2 more guesses here. So Verlander 1, Scherzer 2. Give me picks 3 through 10.
I know Chris Sale's on there. I don't know where.
Chris Sale is 4. 1's real easy. I like super, super easy. I was just talking about this team last segment.
Okay. Well, that gives away that one. Garrett Cole.
Garrett Cole's 3rd.
I don't know if I would have gotten that one. I guess I don't realize how old he is.
Okay, so picks 4 through 10, you're not going to get. All right. Well, you mentioned Sale. Excuse me. 5 through 10.
I'm already. Yeah, it's tough because there's not many old ones left going.
You got to think of guys that have bounced around. Gossman, good pull. He's 7th.
That's all I got.
He's got 116. All right, I'll give you the list here. Ready? 5th at 36 years old, 135 wins. Sonny Gray.
That's a good one.
Sonny Gray, who has bounced around. This guy is probably the best, but even pitching for say if this pitcher, he'd have to pitch another 8 years, 20 wins a season. Zach Wheeler's got 122. He's 36.
more than double your wins.
Yeah, like Zach Wheeler at 36, I feel really good if he was 30, maybe. But Gossman, as you mentioned, number 8 on the list, tied with Gossman with 116 wins. Michael Wacha, who is
wouldn't have gotten that in 100 guesses.
No, Yu Darvish.
That one's I should have gotten, but he's hurt, so it didn't register.
And another one that you will never get, Jose Quintana. 115 wins. That's unbelievable. I thought, okay, maybe Eovaldi. Nope, he's at 111. Like the guy who is not, I got to look on this list, guy who is younger than 30. Okay, so you have to go down to number 29 on the list for somebody under the age of 30. That would be Logan Webb. Logan Webb only with 75 wins at this point. It's just the game has changed.
Yes.
That's all. It's just simple.
They don't go 6 innings anymore. You got to go 5 to get a win.
The whole rules for a win, and wins now don't really kind of is the main factor. It used to be like, okay, 20 wins, yay. How many 20-win winners will you get in any given year? One. Maybe 2?
I'd have to look it up, but I can't tell you if there was the last time a 20-game winner was. Spencer Strider in 2023 was the last 20-game winner with 20.
Wow, that's a pull. Tim Schneider, ladies and gentlemen.
Kyle Wright before that, of all people.
And again, this is because Justin Verlander announcing that at the end of the year he's going to retire, but somebody would say, yeah, you know what, it's time already. Let's do Tim's terrible take, shall we?
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
Speaking of baseball and how the game has changed a bit, something that hasn't changed, unfortunately, for the sport of baseball is the fact that their young stars find a way to stay off the field more often than not. And it's really unfortunate. And you can go back, probably forever, but the first one that sticks out to me is Mike Trout being injured every other year. So Shohei Ohtani, the first couple years he came up, missed a lot of time. Granted, he was able to still DH, but he had Tommy John his first or second year in. Yesterday, we got the news of Connor Griffin being put on the shelf. Before that, Roman Anthony's been on the shelf for the whole year. You can make a legitimate World Series contending team of super young talent, maybe at the time of their injuries, but Trout on there, Ohtani on there, Griffin on there, Anthony on there, Ronnie Acuna Jr. Like, you can name a full-on legitimate all-star and World Series team just of hurt guys who are highly regarded before they have a chance to come up. And I guess the point there is there's not really any way to fix it other than giving an opportunity to different young players who now have an opportunity to take the spotlight away. And Connor Griffin, I don't think was named an all-star, but I know that guys in the middle infield coming up with him, Kevin McGonigal, named an all-star in his first year. Travis Pizzana, named an all-star in their first year. These guys take the reins, and it is what makes me love baseball so much, is that you can see a guy come up out of nowhere, at least as far as a casual major league standpoint, and set the tone early to continue growing this game. And it stinks that these guys aren't on the field as frequently as they are, but when they aren't on the field, somebody else is always there to take those keys and drive this car. And you saw yesterday, or maybe you didn't, the Brewers called up one of their young guys who had signed a 7-year extension before even making his debut. The game is safe. It just stinks that the best of the game has never been on the field all at once.
So the only thing I'll push back on that is there's nothing you can do about it. I think there's some things you can do about it. Like when it comes to the rash of pitching injuries, we've had less of these Tommy Johns, but it's like how, and maybe it's like you're managing the innings, and that goes back to hey, you're not going to you have a 300-game winner. How do these guys train? They're bigger than ever. Like, what are the reasons why we have more injuries now? I think part of it is the physicality of this game. I'd also kind of wonder, does baseball miss their stars more than the NFL? it's funny. You bring up only the young talent. You threw it like right now. Aaron Judge isn't freaking playing.
Right.
Like, that's, like, number one on the list. Aaron Judge. And it's because, hey, my goodness, there's something wrong with my – like, okay, let's get an X-ray. Well, that doesn't show anything. Oh, my gosh, you're going to be shut down for, months at a time. That's not good for the game. It's just not. It's like if the NFL all of a sudden lost quarterbacks, which they did kind of last year, but it was because it was toward the tail end where the Chiefs are kind of sputtering at that point. Lamar always kind of gets hurt at some point. Burrow got hurt early on, but could baseball be even better if we had like one season where you didn't have all this? I think it's not just there are some bats in that lineup. Spencer Horwitz for the Pirates, he's really good too.
Yeah,
he's out of the lineup. Caglione for the Royals, he's healthy.
Yeah, he just signed up for something.
Yeah, he's the first guy to go to the home run derby.
Third.
Junior
Caminero and Ben Rice previously.
Okay, that's good to know. Caminero, yes. Rice is having a fun year. So, and we will have that announcement. Who do you go with if you're Philly? Do you go with Harper? Do you go with Schwarber? I say put them both in.
I agree with that.
Put them both in.
Make it a home game.
If they, does that really upset? Like if you're a Braves fan, I'm a Met fan, would that upset you? And the answer for me would be no. I'm hoping Alonso comes back in Oriole gear just to say, just stick it to the Mets and like, hey, we'd have something to cheer for.
Win it again.
We've got some Bills things we could talk about. We've got PJ Glasser coming up. PJ, your voice of batting here on WGR Rochester. He's got some plays we'll discuss. Your calls as well, 585-866-4326 here on the Sports Bar.
Odyssey is an equal opportunity employer.
WROCAM, WBEE, HD2 Rochester, and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
The Amerks announcing their home opener. They'll be Friday, October 2nd against the Calder Cup champion Toronto Marlies. The rest of the AHL schedule coming out, including the Amerks schedule, fully tomorrow. World Cup action today is dark, resuming tomorrow, France and Morocco at 4 Eastern. Rochester Red Wings 6-6 during the second half of the International League season. Tuesday's game at Worcester was rained out. It's a doubleheader beginning at 4 o'clock today. On the Major League schedule, the only game in the afternoon has the Blue Jays out in San Francisco against the Giants. That's coming up at 3:45. Yankees are at Tampa tonight. The Mets are hosting the Royals. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today, get 2 rounds for the price of 1 with cart. The Eagle Vale Golf Course. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com today. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master stroke. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have things much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. For Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2. Thanks for joining us here today from the High Falls Studios in downtown Rochester. I'm Gene Battaglia. PJ Glasser, betting expert, will be coming up bottom of this hour. Hey, we're still in the World Cup, right? Even though the U.S. is out, we're enjoying this, having this in our country, right? Why not have a little more fun with it? What are some plays here? PJ will be joining us here at about 2:25, which means we have time for your calls. The Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is 585-866-4326. You know, what's funny is if I had to say, when was the last time the Bills actually made a roster move? I don't know if in the Brandon Beane era we've had this long a gap. Like, we are used to the bottom end of the roster kind of churning, especially with the practice squad going up and down. But to me, I had to look it up. You have to go all the way back to June 18th. Ian Wheeler, running back, minor league running back, right? He was with the Bears and went to the UFL, whatever, had a great game. Well, he's going to be competing in Buffalo, and the Bills signed him, and that was it. So they've got their 90 guys that they're ready to bring to training camp at Fisher, again, opening 3 weeks from today. But it's a long, long time for the Buffalo Bills to go that long, in my opinion, without a move here. Now I don't think we'll get to an actual month, but we'll see. I think there are a lot of players that are talented out there, and probably those players right now, they're just waiting for the best opportunity for them, obviously, here. So, will we get Tre'Davious White back? Will we get Matt Milano back? Will they get another opportunity in this league? Still a lot of guys sitting out there, so the Bills are not alone in that regard. 585-866-4326. There is another Bills note here to pass along, that being Josh Allen speaking to NBC. Now, what we're excited about right now is the World Cup, right? And next year you'll get the Women's World Cup, and we'll be excited about that. And then 2028, what's kind of cool is you get the Olympics here, Los Angeles. Now, Tim, I don't know about you, but I'm thinking that might be something that I might want to go check out, because maybe you don't fly into L.A. directly, but you just fly to a nearby city, you drive, and at minimum, I'm going to go watch the marathon. And at some point, I want to invite a good friend of the show, Joey Whalen from Webster, who right now, he's won a bunch of marathons. I mean, the Buffalo Marathon doesn't, it's not a qualifier or anything like that, but he won that easily. And then he also went over to Germany. He's somebody on track. But that's where I'm like, okay, I've said to him, hey, Joe, if you make it, we're going, buddy. We're just going to all go. That's the one you don't really need a ticket. You just show up on the route. Woo! But I'm like, all right, well, 2028, we're going to have the Olympics here in our country, and we're all looking forward to that. What we kind of sort of forget, the NFL wants us to know, like with flag football, it's coming. It's an Olympic sport. I think it's a joke. Can I just say this, that flag football is an Olympic sport? How? Why? Well, you know the why. Who put the money behind it, right?
Another trophy to win for the U.S.
Yeah, like who's going to compete against us for this regard? Like, is there a team in Brazil right now that's going to win the women's flag football? Well, you have the men's flag football, and there's one guy that's putting his hand up in the air and said, yeah, I'll be the quarterback. How do we feel about this, Bills fans, if Josh Allen is Captain America? Josh Allen telling NBC, quote, being a U.S. Olympic gold medalist is a dream I've always had. I've never been able to have the chance to accomplish it, of course. I would sign up to be on that team, meaning the flag football team. I've always dreamed of competing for my country and being able to wear my own gold medal, but we'll see how it works. That is Josh Allen telling you, I want to be the quarterback on this team. And you know what I have to say about that? I know there's some people that would say, no, we don't need him getting ACL. I would say, stop. Let him be the quarterback for our country. Do you want Mahomes out there? Do you want Joe Burrow out there?
I want whoever the actual guy is out there, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, these guys, that's taking somebody else's roster spot away. Like, you don't need to use NFL players in this game. It's not the same thing.
But that's really what the NFL wants.
Yes, I know that.
That's what, honestly, and that's what, okay, so is NBC still a partner of the NFL? Yup. Are you kidding me? You're going to have this, like, if you want to talk about the dream team, and I'm old enough to remember the dream team in 1992, it was like, oh my gosh, what's Jordan and Bird and Ewing and everybody else put together? What are they going to do to the world? They blew them apart. And then the world caught up. And so I think that's kind of the hope here. But the thing is that, hey, they've been playing basketball for a long, long time around the globe. Flag football is this, like, made-up thing. It's like, it really is. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with it. And on the local level, on the youth sports level, it's fantastic, right? Give more girls opportunities to play sports. And it has just exploded. And, again, that's thanks to your NFL money there being infused, but they want the return on investment for that. I've always thought that this is a long play. The long play for the NFL is they saw what the NBA did with the WNBA. Now, not every owner owns, NBA owner owns a WNBA team. However, those arenas need to be filled, and there is a lot of crossover, certainly, and there are some, ownerships that own both, right? Well, it makes sense. All right, I get that, but there were years where it wasn't making money until it did make money, and then all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark shows up on the scene, and well, I mean, I want to just keep it to a sports thing. I just think that right now the WNBA has been it's the best it's ever been. We're not even at year one. We don't have anything professional, but it's coming. Like, will we have a professional flag football league for women, or will we have a team NFL based in Europe? And I think the answer to that is simple. You will have spring football endorsed by the NFL, owned by the NFL, flag football coming up in the year 2032, 3, 4, whenever it is. Like, a lot of colleges now have flag football, so
apparently there's something in the works for 2027, sponsored and invested by NFL players and Serena Williams. So,
okay,
it could be they're going to get out in front of it before the Olympics.
Sure. Maybe they make this announcement 2027, and hey, this is coming near you. And the thing about flag football, it's, why, Tim, would this be any different than these failed spring leagues? USFL, the one that went belly up, the UFL. There's been 3 or 4 of them that we love football. Why won't it work? Because the product it's not the same. Well, this, I don't know, because it's a different game and we're just calling it flag football. I'm not sure, but if you get some people to go out, let's say, for instance, hey, you don't think the Buffalo Bills would be interested in filling some dates in their brand new spanking stadium, even if they drew 5,000? Like 5,000 at our stadium that's never used here in Rochester anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know the name of it anymore.
I don't even know. It's like the YAR community, whatever, where you prep football plays. Like that, I think that's the name of it. Like, or maybe we'll do this FIFA style, Tim. Rochester Stadium. Just call it Rochester Stadium. There will be some people who will be like, no, we can't have Josh Allen out there for fear that he's going to get injured. And talk to anybody NBA fan, like, okay, their favorite team. Does that happen? Has it happened? Like, we have injuries, and do we have injuries in the NHL that impacted your NHL team was impacted by an injury in the Winter Olympics? Ultimately, no. So I would just kind of let it go. I think it would be like fantastic.
I think I'd like to see something like this, but not taken super seriously, like the basketball tournament, which happens around this time every year.
Right.
That 3-on-3 thing. Let that be their summer league, their stay in shape kind of thing, while also being rewarded with, well, one, investment, and two, a monetary prize should you win the thing.
Right. And maybe that the thing about the basketball league, it's like a bunch of has-beens and never will be. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean.
But it's
good
TV.
True.
I don't know if it's good basketball, but it's good TV. I like watching it.
That's your opinion. I can't deal with it.
You don't like the Boeheim's Army trying to win back-to-back titles?
Nope. Playing in some community college? Nope. I mean,
I think
look,
it's good.
It's interesting. It's only because of the time of year, Tim. And by the way, they never broke through. I mean, it's like it's fun. Like, hey, okay, you see Devendorf and some guys, you're like, oh yeah, and then you're kind of on to the next thing. Like maybe what you're saying though is, all right, for guys that really, really want to play still football.
Yeah.
Your Peter Montemurnos of the world.
I would tune in to watch Peter Montemurno rip somebody's flag off, stomp on it, and do a touchdown dance.
I feel like I have to give a cliff note here. That's an inside joke for folks. He was our longtime college football analyst who now is still doing it, but on television. But he loves football. He would say he would give his right arm for football to play one more down.
He would.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Before we get to PJ Glasser, Michael Kay is backtracking today. Now, he brought up on his own show that he heard a rumor about Anthony Volpe refusing to play second base in the minors, that he was only a shortstop. Okay, that's interesting. That is really interesting because you want to pick a divisive topic, or I don't even know if it's divisive. Like it just gets emotions going for your Yankee fans. Like when you see all this great shortstop play in baseball, and that's your guy. All right. Well, for Kay to bring this up, that's kind of noteworthy that maybe he's not being the team guy. Well, look, if it's me or you saying it, nothing. How about WFAN? Okay, the top sports station in New York City. If any of their hosts say, hey, we heard this rumor that Anthony Volpe refused to play second base in the minors, it's not a big thing. If you're the voice of the New York Yankees and you say this, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. You're traveling with the team. You are part of the team. It's not like for Chris Brown and the Buffalo Bills. He can't bring up a rumor. You just can't. And today, here's a surprise. Michael Kay is backtracking. He's apologizing, saying that, hey, yeah, maybe I should have looked into that. You think? Or, number one, you don't report it as a rumor. Say that you actually heard this. Or number two, you have to acknowledge that if you bring this up, there's going to be backlash and that people are going to be talking about it, and that, hey, it's feeding into this narrative that Andy Volpe, not the guy. And when you say that, when you bring up the idea that any player refuses to play a different position in baseball, that instantly paints you as a bad guy, as a bad teammate. You're not doing whatever you can for the team because you're selfish. You only want to be the shortstop. Like, for Michael Kay to bring this up, I can't determine, Tim, whether this is malpractice on Kay's part or whether it's 100% true and he just got way over his skis on this and now just not thinking this through. You've got this S-eating grin.
Well, I was going to actually use as you like to say, in over his skis, and then you used it because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And then he realized a little bit too late, like, oh, I've said too much as somebody. He either knows the answer and has and told a lie to get him off the field because he's not good. You can argue that he is the worst performing baseball player in the history of the sport offensively for the amount of at-bats he's been given.
And now the guy won't play a different position, and you're pointing to this. It's like you're all right. I'm going to tell you what I think happened. And since we're doing rumors and theories, and we'll get to PJ here in a little bit, what I think happened here is, I'll give you a story, and the story is this. And see, like you listen to WGR, right? Our show, we're going to tell you things that you're not going to hear in other places. And one of those things was, this is the old version. Do you remember the John Murphy show?
I do.
Yeah, the John Murphy show. John Murphy, former voice of the Buffalo Bills, and he goes on with Steve Tasker, and Steve Tasker comes on, and it's Bills off season, which, okay, number one, this is always kind of difficult for those guys, right? And Steve Tasker's talking about the Sabre game. And John Murphy's like, oh, I don't go to the Sabre game. I want to go to Canisius basketball. Oh, come on. You love the Sabres. No, I'm not going to the Sabres. No, I wouldn't do that. I'm thinking, I'm flabbergasted. I'm like, who the hell signs your checks? Who signs your checks? The guy who owns the Buffalo Sabres. How could you say something so stupid? And then the next day, the very next day, they're talking about how whatever it is with the Sabres at the time, they're so excited and blah, 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 blah. Oh, my gosh. I'm surprised they weren't suspended. Well, you can't suspend Michael Kay for this. But, my gosh, if he goes on the air and says, I heard a rumor he's not playing second base, if you're the GM, if you're anybody, and Michael Kay is getting paid by the New York Yankees indirectly because it's the Yes Network, but who owns the Yes Network? It's the freaking Yankees. I'm bringing Michael Kay, and I'm going, what the F? My name's Gene Battaglia. This is the Sports Bar.
Rochester Sports Update.
Amherst announcing their home opener. It's going to be earlier this year, Friday, October the 2nd, against the Calder Cup champion Toronto Marlies. The Amherst complete schedule, the rest of the AHL schedule coming out tomorrow. World Cup action resuming tomorrow. Everything off today. France and Morocco at 4 o'clock. We'll get the thoughts of our betting expert, PJ Glasser. PJ joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Wings on the road. They're going to begin their series tonight. Yesterday rained out at Worcester. The doubleheader begins at 4 o'clock. Just one game in the majors this afternoon coming up at 3:45 Eastern. Toronto at San Francisco against the Giants. The Yankees playing in Tampa tonight. The Mets hosting the Royals. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Eaglevale. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
I haven't talked to PJ Glasser. We haven't heard from PJ before. Last time we talked, he was planning a trip to Philadelphia for the World Cup. I can't remember who PJ was going to see there, but joining us right now, our betting expert. You hear him on BetMGM tonight and Westwood One, other platforms. He's always great to give us a little bit of his time, and we do have something to share with PJ too. I think we could go in public with this. PJ, how are you today? What games did you see in Philadelphia?
I saw Ivory Coast and Curacao, Gene. That was the game I ended up seeing.
Well,
so a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Gosh, who ended up winning that game, PJ? Do you remember?
Ivory Coast did 2-0, I believe.
Okay, that sounds good. Like you had the tweet of tweets yesterday. Like yesterday was like the 5th time in this World Cup tournament that we've had the game of the tournament, right? Like that game between Argentina, coming back against Egypt was remarkable. Just your overall thoughts. Let's open up here on what we've seen so far here from the World Cup.
I mean, it's been so good, Gene, so good. And I feel like we're reminded of this every 4 years, how we just all get engulfed with soccer, and it's so cool to truly see the entire world all fall in love with their teams. It's been so cool having it here in the States and watching all these people from around the world coming into these different cities. But it's been an unbelievable tournament. And, yeah, I mean, that Argentina-Egypt game, I feel like in most tournaments would have been the game of the tournament so far. But I don't even think that's the craziest game Argentina's played, Gene. That Cabo Verde game was still unbelievable. That had a David Goliath feel to it. The England-Mexico game is still my favorite. I think that game just epitomizes why we love sports. The environment was unbelievable. Yeah. Both teams were just laying it out there. You had red cards. You had penalty kicks. I mean, you had everything in that game. So quarterfinals, Gene, we're getting down to it. The best of the best. We should have some really good games upcoming. But, I mean, what a treat this World Cup has been so far.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, we all now think we know something, right? Like, well, hey, Spain should take care of Belgium. Well, maybe. I don't know. And just to kind of review here, France, minus 180 against Morocco. Spain, what I'm looking at, minus 160 against Belgium. Norway and England, that's close. England getting the slight nod here at minus 115. Argentina, minus 145 against Switzerland. Is there anything out of the bunch here, PJ? Or I've also heard maybe just kind of betting a draw here is always a play. What are your thoughts on if we want a little action on any of these quarterfinal matchups, PJ?
I like Spain against Belgium, Gene. I like Spain quite a bit. We all saw what Belgium did to our boys out in Seattle. That was just an absolute beatdown from start to finish. But I really think that was just more about the U.S. For whatever reason, they just did not show up in that game. They were completely outclassed. Belgium, for much of the tournament, though, Gene, and I think why so many people liked the United States in that matchup and why they were favored is because going into that game, they clearly looked like the better side. Belgium was fortunate to get to that game against the United States. They should have lost to Senegal. They were down 2-0 in the 85th minute, came back to tie it, and then won it in extra time. But Spain's defense has not allowed a goal the entire tournament. Nobody has been able to score on them yet. So it's going to be a tough uphill climb for Belgium to try to find the back of the net. Meanwhile, I think Spain will be able to score. So I like them, minus 160. Could be a good parlay piece if you want to use them there. But, yeah, that draw that you mentioned, I kind of like it for I think Norway, England could be a really good draw. I think Argentina, Switzerland as well. Both of those games feel like we could definitely see some extra time. Argentina's kind of just been playing to the level of their competition. Switzerland, historically, in this knockout round, is a team that definitely likes going to extra time. They like going to penalty kicks. I would look for that in that game again. And I don't know, Gene, that England-Norway game, man, Holland and Norway, they're rolling right now. That should be a fun game. So I could see that going extra time as well.
Isn't it crazy to think that my Saturday is going to revolve around Norway, England, Argentina, Switzerland? Like that is and actually for anybody that's going to start their weekend, 3:00 tomorrow, that would have been the game the U.S. would have been in, except it's Spain against Belgium. Argentina, like we don't talk about games of the year. I mean, we can't overlook that Cape Verde game. Wow. As you mentioned, Argentina, are they playing to the level of competition, or maybe they're not what we're used to seeing in years past here, PJ? Because to me, their luck is going to run out here at some point.
Some point it will, I agree. Gene, we get teams like this all the time in sports. I'm sure listeners can think of a couple off the top of their head, but I'm thinking of I guess if you want to go with the New England Patriots this year, or maybe even the Chicago Bears, or if you want to go with TCU football a couple years ago and they made it all the way to the championship and then got absolutely pounded by Georgia. Argentina's playing with their food. They're a good team, but they definitely should have lost a couple of these games. And they're getting to the point where it's you just want to keep fading them. But I think until they get to the final and face either Spain or France, I think that's finally the team that's going to expose them. Now, the winner of Norway-England could definitely beat them, or maybe even Switzerland could beat Argentina. I mean, there's no doubt. But to me, it just has a feel of this team where they're going to keep winning against competition that's even to them. And then finally, when they step up and play the two best teams in the world, Spain and France, I think either one of those are going to beat them. So, Argentina's a tough one to bet. I'm kind of afraid to fade them, to be honest with you, Gene, until they get to the final, if that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And again, that doubleheader Saturday, and I've been advising people, Telemundo, PJ, that I fell into that by accident because honestly, I could only get one streaming service, that being Peacock, and I was hooked, and that's where Andres Cantor is going to be calling Argentina and Switzerland coming up Saturday. PJ Glasser, our betting expert. We have that note to tell you about PJ here in a second here, but PJ, you have a play in baseball to discuss here. Now, the fun thing about today is normally we have you on a Wednesday, hey, plays in baseball. Well, half the games are out the door. Usually Wednesday's Getaway Wednesday. For whatever reason, that's not the case today. Maybe it's because we're gearing up here for the All-Star break here. Just the one afternoon game, but everything else under the lights tonight. PJ, what do you like here in baseball?
I like the under, Gene, in that White Sox and Red Sox game. On the surface, Davis Martin is going up against Jack Bennett, and I think for people that maybe have been casual to baseball this year, they haven't watched those guys all too often, but both have been really good this season. Bennett's a rookie for the Red Sox. He's pitched about 40 innings this year, but he's got a 3.11 ERA. He's been really good. He's only given up 3 home runs this season. And then Davis Martin on the other side for the White Sox, I think we all know how surprising of a year that Chicago has had. Martin's been their best pitcher, and Gene, he's got a .88 ERA at home this season. He's been unbelievable at Rate Field. So I like the under 8 in that Red Sox and White Sox game. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think that's a good play there. And then, the Rays and the Yankees, I think it's an interesting game tonight. We got a great pitching matchup. Yeah. Garrett Cole against Shane McClanahan. Cole's been pretty good against the Rays in his career. McClanahan hasn't been all that good against the Yankees. But again, with all the injuries that the Yankees have and that lineup not being what it should be for New York, they got the win the first game of that series. Tampa got him yesterday. Usually the Trop has just been such a house of horrors for New York. So, yes, they do have Cole on the mound. But the price is dropping today. Yankee money is coming in. I mean, I think now you're at a point where I kind of like to buy low on Tampa, about -115, -18. So I would probably go with the Rays today, too.
Yeah, Yankees 2-8 in their last 10. We were talking about this earlier in the show. I'd be curious to get your opinion. I'm drawing the analogy of the American League right now to what we saw in the AFC. Does anybody want the AFC last year? And that's why, from a Buffalo standpoint, it was here it is. No, you can't take it. Who wants it? Okay, New England gets it. Who's really good in the American League. Because I look at Tampa Bay, and I'm like, that pitching staff, okay, McClanahan is great. Everybody else, I'm like, they're going to fall back to earth here, but nobody else, PJ, everybody that's not in a playoff position is below 500 right now. Do you see any team with the ability here to get it together here in the second half in the American League?
If it were to be anyone, it would be the Yankees, Gene, I think, just because they are so beat up and they're going to get these guys back. They always do this under Boone. They call it the June swoon, and this year was no different. So they're going through that. Judge, they're hoping to be back maybe by the end of the month, maybe early August. They get some other guys back too. But yeah, trying to pick like which of these teams who are below 500 is going to make a run in the second half feels impossible. I think Toronto is the easy answer because they were in the World Series last year. They have a lot of those guys on the roster. They brought in Cease, who's been really good for them this season. But Boston's playing well, Gene. They're finally starting to pick it up a little bit. Offense has come around. That's going to be interesting to see what they do, how they play over the next 3 weeks or so leading into the trade deadline. Do they decide to sell, or have they seen enough here recently to feel like they can go for it, maybe make the playoffs and compete a little bit in the American League? I think that's what makes it tough, though, Gene, is because so many of these teams are going to have to decide, even if we get into the playoffs, do we really feel like it's worth it? Or is it in the best interest of our team to maybe sell off some pieces and try to get better for the future? I think baseball fans know nothing's a guarantee. You might think your team's set up for success for the next couple of years, and then things go sideways for a reason. I can personally tell you that as an Orioles fan, not looking like we thought it would a couple of years ago. And like you said, I mean, the AL is so wide open. Tampa, Seattle, and New York probably right now are the three favorites and the three teams to beat. But, Gene, honestly, it just might be one of those years, man. You get into the dance and anything can happen.
Yeah, and I'm kind of expecting that. Like, wait, the Patriots in the Super Bowl? Who might it be this year? Maybe it's Cleveland. Maybe they get they've been known to make a run here. PJ Glasser joining us here in the sports bar. So golf next week. We get the last Open of the calendar year over in England. And in advance of that, usually you get the tournament, so everybody gets on the time change. Scottish Open this week. PJ, any thoughts here on golf here this week?
Yeah, so, Gene, I love the links golf. I love when we're over in Europe for this time of the year. We wake up early. We watch some golf on the TV. This tournament's interesting, too, because we do have a couple of the live guys playing this week. So Rahm's in the field, Hatton's in the field. Those are the two biggest names from the live tour. No Bryson this week, but some of the other live players are teeing it up at the Scottish Open. They started playing at this course, the Renaissance Club, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And the winner of this tournament, Gene, usually length plays a big factor. Rory's won here. Xander's won here. Chris Gotterup won here last year. Like, all these guys can just absolutely smash it off the tee. So I think length is a big factor. Wyndham Clark, who we saw win the U.S. Open and then played really well the following week at the Travelers, I think he's got a good shot this week at 28-1, and he does have some pretty good course history here, a couple of top 15 finishes. Kurt Kitayama, another guy that can bomb it off the tee, has also played pretty well here. I think he could be a guy to watch this week. So those are definitely my two favorites, I would say. Wyndham at about 28-1, and then Kurt Kitayama at 50-1. But it's just going to be a light card for me, Gene, to be honest with you, even though we got a lot of firepower, a lot of big names. Like you said, next week is the big one when we tee it up at the Open Championship. So those are really just the only two guys for me that I'm going to tee it up with this week, Wyndham Clark and Kurt Kitayama.
Yeah, usually July is kind of like, all right, we're at the dead spot. We're looking at our watches. When does football get here? Let's not wish away or somewhere. I'm like, no. Like, the World Cup we're into. Monday we get the home run derby, which, PJ, I'd ask for your odds, but, who would you like? We don't even have half the field yet. And then we go into golf, and then before you know it, camp. So, like, it feels like it's just kind of rolling along. With that, PJ, if I may, is this true that you will be coming to the Flower City?
I will, Gene. I will. And end of the month, I'll be there July 30th through August 1st, I believe.
That is fantastic. Now we got to. Your brother is interning for the Wings. We got to get you to a Red Wing game. We got to.
Yeah.
What is? I mean, there's going to be family time. What is on the agenda? Do you have any idea? You're 3 days here in Rochester.
So yeah, me and my mom are flying in, and we're helping my brother, pack up his stuff because his last day I think is August 1st, I believe, with the Red Wings. That's when he finishes up his internship. So we're coming into town, helping pack up all the things, and we're driving back to Maryland. So I don't know. You told me that the station's only like 3 blocks from the ballpark, right? So we're definitely going to a game. So I'm definitely going to try and pop by. I think that Friday, the 31st, I believe that is. That'll be the day I'll try to come in and hang out.
That would be wonderful. So we could figure PJ in studio on the 31st, and then I don't know, like it's too late to kind of do like a meetup and let's put this at a bar or something. But PJ, I would love to go to the game that night and say, hey, anybody, come meet PJ here in the concourse section, whatever, between the second and third. I don't know if you're up for anything like that, but PJ would love to have you in studio here with us on that Friday. And again, I know there's family commitments, and I know you're going to have a busy time. Don't want to take too much of it, but if you could stop by, that would be fantastic.
Would love to, Gene. Finally get to meet you in person after talking to you all these years. So that'll be great. Definitely do that. And then, we got Ravens-Bills in November 1st, I believe. So, my brother and I have been throwing around the idea of I fly in, I meet him at Ithaca, and then we drive over to the game. So we might have to do that as well. Have you been over to the new stadium yet? Have they given you a peek?
They did give the media the opportunity of the ribbon cutting, except it was on the same time that it was on the air. So I wasn't going to take the day off for that, PJ, but I'm very much looking forward to getting over there. And, yeah, the prices for those tickets are going to be there's going to be some pain here at the beginning. So hopefully the market will settle out. But, boy, that's a game that certainly we have circled. Ravens and Bills. PJ, I'm driving around the other night, and there I hear PJ Glasser on BetMGM tonight, which is fantastic. So we know Game Day Garage. What else is on the docket for you coming up this week?
Yeah, so Game Day Garage, me and my buddy Ryan Horvat, we're going to start previewing college football already, Gene, if you can believe it. That's going to start. We're going to do some pods next week, previewing the conferences, the teams that we like, Heisman Trophy, all that stuff. So keep an eye on that. You can follow Game Day Garage on all the socials. Westwood One, like you said, I've been filling in on BetMGM tonight. I'm actually going to be on You Better You Bet on Friday, doing that show solo from 9 a.m. to noon, so you can check that out. And then I've been doing stuff with our friends at Betting News as well. I'll actually be on with Adam Kaufman today at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we're keeping busy, Gene. We're doing a lot.
You're doing a great job, PJ. Let's pencil you in for the 31st. Cannot wait, buddy. And let's talk again next week.
Absolutely, Gene. Good chatting with you, my friends. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, PJ Glasser, our betting expert. We'll have a final thought coming up next. My name is Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester.
You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
The World Cup talk has been really, really fascinating. We're going to keep it rolling tomorrow because I'll give credit to this guy. You heard him for years on our signal here in the evenings. Bart Winkler. He's based out of Milwaukee. And if you follow his social, he's been from the get-go talking World Cup. Just kind of doing like a big, and then I give him credit. Like, it should have known, like 4 years. Well, I got to go back like 8 years because it feels like 2022 didn't really happen. That's my opinion. But 2026, yeah, he was right with it. We will talk more soccer tomorrow with Bart Winkler. And, of course, Bart is a big, big fan of Aaron Rodgers. Super big fan. We'll talk some NFL, Packers at large. He's also, like, if you were a hockey fan based in Milwaukee, who would you adopt as your NHL team? It's funny. Like, there's a couple guys, like, who don't have NHL teams that are friends of the show. Jay Binkley, Kansas City. Well, yeah, you're not rooting for Chicago. You're not rooting for Denver. You're not rooting, the Colorado Avalanche. You adopt Buffalo. Like, Binkley's a Buffalo fan. It's the same thing with Bart. Like, Bart's based in Milwaukee, and I kind of gather this. Like, Milwaukee fan and Chicago fan, they don't mix. Not whatsoever. Like, Brewers and Cubs, not going to happen. Certainly Packers and Bears, not going to happen. But Bucks, Bulls, whatever at that point. But, like, it's not applicable for hockey. But because of the vicinity, like, if you weren't familiar, Milwaukee's only 2 hours up the road from Chicago. Right. Like, so, like, no, don't say it's a big old suburb of Chicago. They get upset about that.
They are the Predators affiliate. That could be an easy go-to, the AHL team, I mean.
Right. But, like, you would think, like, I like NHL hockey. Who's the closest NHL team? No, I'm not going to root for any team in Chicago. I think that's kind of like, for us here, it's a little different. Now, it's not 2 hours away, but what's Syracuse? Syracuse, what, hour 20, hour 10? Depends on what side of town you live on. We're all Syracuse Orange fans, but when it comes to, nothing else Syracuse. We're going to Bart Winkler is a Sabres fan. So Bart Winkler, and he was texting us during the run there this past April, May. He'll be joining us tomorrow on the show. If you miss anything today, just download the Odyssey app. We're on the air 1 to 3 Eastern, and you can just listen back in the rewind feature whenever it's convenient for you. A lot more people doing that. Thanks to everybody who watched today on YouTube and Twitch. We'll be doing this all again tomorrow. Normally, this is where I thank Dan DeLorean. He's somewhere in San Diego sunning himself. I'm wondering if he's going to go to a Padre game. Like that'll be a fun segment. Dan DeLorean's vacation in San Diego. Thank you, Tim Schneider, for all your fine work. One of the best in the business, if not the best. Show Up in the Bulldog coming your way next. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is Rochester Sports Leader, 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR, Rochester.